Recovery after breast cancer isn't just physical, it's emotional and nutritional too. Listen to the firsthand experience of registered dietitian and breast cancer survivor Lauren Anton as she explores what healing really looks like after treatment, why nourishment can feel complicated, and how survivors can begin rebuilding trust with their bodies. Tune in for evidence-based guidance and compassionate insights that support recovery, resilience, and learning to nourish yourself again. Stay tuned.
Podcasting from Dallas, Texas, I am Shireen, and this is the Yumlish Podcast.
Lauren Anton is a speaker, registered dietitian, and breast cancer survivor passionate about helping people to reconnect with their bodies, breaking free from diet culture noise, and learning how to treat their bodies with compassion and respect. She helps audiences, groups, and individuals learn how to reimagine their bodies as a home and recognize food and movement as conduits for a deep connection with the body. Welcome, Lauren.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for having me, Shireen.
It is such a pleasure having you on. So, Lauren, you have a deep personal connection to what you do, and that's where I really want to start out. Help us understand and help our audience here understand this unique perspective that you bring both as a dietitian, a breast cancer survivor. I mean, can you share a bit more about your journey, both again professionally, personally, and how these experiences have really shaped your approach to what you do within nutrition?
Yes. I once had a client say, "Wow, you bring everything that's ever happened to you and that you've gone through like to the work with your clients." And I was like, "I 100%." So yeah, I was a D1 runner athlete. And so that got me interested in sports nutrition, of course. And yeah, I just wanted to I saw a lot of disordered eating, and I saw a lot of my own disordered eating, especially when I stopped running. It was just like I'd lost my identity. That was really tough. That was a tough transition for me. And I went from training like a D1 athlete to just being a regular person. And just a college student. And so, just in and out of diets, in and out of, over exercise, in and out of all of that. And learning about sports nutrition like really helped me and helped me to fuel my body, for whatever it was I was doing. I've run marathons, I've, hiked really long distances, all these things. And so, you know, in 2023, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, that was a toughie. And I really got to practice what I preach at that point. And it's tough. I mean, this work is hard. This like starting to respect your body and accept change. Like the body is just, the longer I live, the more, and I turned 52 this year, you know, and it's just the longer I live, the more it's like, wow, the body is just all about change. And so going through breast cancer treatment, a lot of body shifts, having to like discard, like part with clothing that I'm like, I don't fit in you anymore. Goodbye. You know, I have also had a son. My body shifted a little bit then, not much, but like it did, like I was like, oh, I remember putting on stuff and it's like it fit, but it was like, huh, it looks like I'm wearing someone else's clothes. So my style shifted around that time. Um, you know, and but with the breast cancer, a lot of body shifts. Because I had hormone positive breast cancer, so I continue to be on um, hormone blockers, and how my body reacted to the two hormone blockers I'm on is like a lot of shifting. Just a lot of fat mass gain and more than I had. And so I'm like, oh, wow, I don't fit in any of my clothes anymore. And having to be okay with that, having to be in total acceptance. So yeah, and just with compassion, not just like when I say acceptance, I'm not like, like lay down and die. It's more like, okay, I need to come to a true new appreciation for this body that has gone through so much.
So, Lauren, what I find about what you just mentioned is like such a strong lived experience that you've had with this and just going through it yourself, which actually takes me to my next question, which is more around like what did this journey of recovery really teach you that you've just never learned in or seen in textbooks or in training? Like what has that been like?
There's no way you can get what lived experience can tell you from like a textbook. You can get some base knowledge, but like um, a friend of mine recently said to me, right from and she said an expletive, but like it's just right from the poop, right from the difficult. And because I was like, she goes, you don't need to be at the end stage of like somewhat perfection. In fact, more authentic and what will help people more is how you need to remember how you got through the difficulties, how you got through, you know, gosh, I mean, what came into my mind just now is back in the day, in my 20s, being called mean things about my body, which was insane. And, by men, actually. And really mean things. And now it's like, um, I need to be able to, and then now with the whole like body changes that come with, honestly, like everyone's going to go through body changes in menopause, whether or not you have breast cancer. Okay. And I'm in a medical menopause at this point, and I wonder if now I'm just in a menopause. I don't know because I'm on those meds. But, like right, being able to remember very clearly what it's like to walk through the swamp, of our own minds is so important. And that's what lived experience gives us that a textbook can't, because a textbook is dry, training is dry. It's like, I remember even in training, you know what? One of my favorite rotations in my clinical was being on the cancer unit. I spent a long time there. And I just like pulled up a chair, which was unheard of. They were like usually standing and got like 2.5 minutes to deal with this person. And it's like, no, I sat down and I was like, hey, and then we just talk, we connect. And I think it's just being able to connect on a human level with anyone we're working with, I think is just vital.
Thanks for sharing. I think Lauren, you mentioned a couple of things in there, and one of the things you mentioned there is like going through this journey. I think one of the big things for me, at least, that jumps out is like you get all sorts of experiences, right? You'll get on the one hand people who will sympathize, like you said, even like the brunt of it, going through that.
Hmm.
After coming out of the other side, did recovery change how you define your journey ahead? Be it hard days, be it good days, like how has that shaped you?
I think it has made me more self-compassionate. Um, that was something I struggled with. I'm often very and I've had friends point it out, like the way, like, wow, you are rough how you speak to yourself. And I don't speak to, like they're like, you don't speak to me like that. Why do you speak to yourself? And I'm like, oh, I don't even know it. Right. So that was pointed out to me. And I was like, just going through this whole thing has made me really examine how I recreate past trauma patterns. And I'm like, I don't need to be my own perp. I really don't. And I tell my clients that, hey, watch for when you're being your own perp. How are you abusing yourself? Because now it's you, right? And and so being very aware, again, like I tell my clients this, it's like I tell myself this, like how can I rephrase? And it's simple, Shireen. Like, you know, um, I will have to move slower because I had some breast infections post reconstruction, and which is unusual and odd, and everyone's concerned. But they put me on some what is it called, an antibiotic um, that that can cause tendon rupture. Unfortunately, I did have a tendon rupture in my knee, and it was really bad. And so I've had to really like rehab that over the past 6 months, and I had surgery, obviously. I have had to really have some grace. Like, it's just like, slowing down, making sure I didn't realize how fast I went through space. And now when I go through space really fast, when I move really fast, I have fallen a couple times. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't walk as fast as I used to. Like, I used to be the fastest walker. I'm still pretty fast. But my friend, because anyone who listens to this is gonna be like, you still walk fast, Lauren. It's actually ridiculous. But it's not as fast as I used to. So I just fast walker. But yeah, I everything was frantic, and you know what? It's a whole thing, and it is based in old stuff, isn't it? And so I'm like, I don't need to move fast. I'm gonna move. You know what? I now go to bed earlier. I get up earlier because I need to ease into my day. And it's amazing how after 1 week it just became so easy, and now I'm not like rushing into my day and feeling frantic and rushed, and which is how I live most of my life.
Let me ask you a question around the nutrition element, right? Like
Yeah.
that's also what you
Oh
do
yeah.
professionally, right? So, what role does nutrition play in supporting the body during and after breast cancer treatment?
For me, because we all can look up online, there's a lot of things, and I think it's really based in like a lot of fear. Like never eat sugar. We know all the things. I almost don't want to repeat them, but I kind of want to repeat them because it's like, like never eat this, never eat that, don't eat this. And hey, you know what? If that works for you, my goodness, do it. Um, I was talking to someone yesterday and I'm like, I don't want to be the person who's like, I don't eat this, 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 if I don't have to be, you know? If I don't have to be, because obviously if there's a medical issue, I will respond, you know, that's me. I will respond so, I will do that. If I don't have to, I'm like, I want to be able to meet my friend out for, some pho. I want to be able to, like go to ice cream. I want to, just like, and it's more about connection. I really think coming from a point of body respect is key. Because I can tell that my body gets fuller faster, and this is like my body gets fuller faster. Do you know it's like kind of it's sad for me because I really like food. I love baking for my friends. I like, making big dinners for my friends and family. I really do. And I like cooking with my son who's 13. And you know, um so when I get full really fast, I'm like I have to remind myself this is available later. And I'll have it later. It's okay. So it is about like a deep listening to the body, um as it changes like literally every day, like. And I do think that's like it comes with menopause, like the appetite can decrease, like that's actual thing because our metabolisms decrease. So it's about being honest, like, hey, that gives me indigestion whereas it didn't before. I used to be able to eat anything. And it's like, I do that, I'm gonna have some IBS issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have some GI issues, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, and this actually I want to dig into that one a little bit because you're absolutely
Hmm.
right, right? Like we hear about how cancer treatments can change appetite, taste, digestion, like you mentioned. sometimes making food feel like really the enemy when you really love food, right? In reality,
Yeah.
right? So how did you personally and professionally navigate that?
Okay, so just something to say, is everyone reacts to, first of all, different cancers get different chemo regimens, and not all cancers get chemo regimen. I went, just so we're all clear, I went through chemo, 6 rounds, and that was and every 3 weeks. So I was lucky. I had a great I'm near a major hospital, and in Los Angeles. It's, so I have access, and so I got to go in. So the nausea for me, I went in for my first round, and I was like, that was horrible. And they were like, yikes, it was the first round. It's supposed to be cumulative. It's only going to get worse from here. So then they were like, we're going to give you hydration the day after. So I went in for IV hydration, and not just like at some like rando place. Like there's a lot of that here in LA. But like actually at the chemo center, in the hospital, like went in for hydration, anti-nauseals, all this stuff. And then I went in again. So I always got my chemo on a Thursday. Then I went in for hydration on Friday. The weekend was always the hardest. And then on Monday or Tuesday, I went in for more hydration because I did not react well to chemo. And so because of that, the nausea was like very minimized. I was super lucky. I also had people bringing me food, so it allowed me to ask for help. And I was smart. When I felt well, I made like stuff like soups and froze them so that I could just pop it in. You know, because that's how I like to cook. So that was so nutritionally, everyone's going to be different. I remember when I worked, where I was doing my rotation, clinical rotation, and I was in the cancer unit. There were people who were receiving, and if they're in the hospital, that means they're not doing well at all, and so they're reacting poorly. Uh, they're doing poorly, and so there was a lot of like muscle wasting in terms of that, and we would give them like very dense shakes, because it was always like, don't eat your favorite foods, because if the nausea was out of control, like just eat bland. But like, so that's why we gave them shakes, so that like, just volume wise, very dense, like per ounce. And so that they could get the most nutrition per sip.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I did
Yeah.
not have to go through that. I did not have to go through that because I was very lucky with the hydration. And I know my own mother, who died of colon cancer in 2020, she didn't get the hydration, and I'm like, she really should have. Yeah. So anyway, ask for hydration, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to hear that. And there's coming to sort of like this pressure on survivors, right? And I'm sure you've had a similar experience, which is like there's just a lot of pressure on survivors to follow a strict anti-cancer diet, whatever that means. From your perspective as both a survivor, as an RD, what myths, misconceptions sort of exist here, that you can dispel for us?
I think food's important, and I do have to listen to my body. Like I used to be able to like sit there and have like, I re- this past holiday season, and then my birthday's right after. A lot of people were giving me a lot of sweets, and I used to be able to be like, yeah, woo, and I'm like, whoa, if I do again, I have GI issues, like major, and I'm like, that's a new thing, and I have to be like, have my sadness about it, and be like, and so when they say like, oh, the sugar, I don't know what's happening. It could be the fact that it's like a lot of like high fat, like who knows? And I don't care. All I know is like I need to listen. I can have like maybe one and then be done. That's for me. That's what I. That's the problem with going online or reading a study and being like, okay, I have to follow this rote. It's like we are so individual. I mean, our gut microbiomes are so individual. So it's going to depend, like your hormones, everything is so individual. And what you will be able to tolerate. I would say, again, I come back to like deep listening, you know, and being honest with yourself, like, okay, I cannot eat this. I can, or I do well when I eat this. I can have a little bit of that. You know what I mean? And I think getting hooked into everything has to be whole foods, everything, because this is the cancer things, right? Like everything has to be whole foods, everything, like sometimes that's going to be impossible for people. And I'm like, add in things. That's what I usually suggest to people is like, okay, so you're having this. Why don't we add in, like, oh, this person, like, some frozen broccoli or a handful of baby greens, like something easy. And like, so get that color in, get those nutrients in. Let's get some fiber, and then some people, like, people are sensitive to fiber. They can't have as much. Otherwise, they're having diarrhea or constipation or intense gas, and so if that's the case, we adjust that to that person. I'm like, don't worry about recommendations right now. Like, listen to your body. If you are like getting stopped up or whatever GI issue is coming up for you, we adjust. We adjust. It's like, don't, I would say the blanket advice would be like, don't necessarily take every single piece of nutrition advice that's out there and apply it to yourself. It doesn't always apply, or it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
adjusted for you.
Super helpful. We're coming up toward the end of the episode, Lauren. I'm going to try to quickly sneak in two more questions for you, which is
Okay.
something you mentioned a minute ago, which was like asking for help. How can friends, family best support someone going through treatment, going through recovery, especially when it comes to food?
I have so much. Like, bring over, ask them what they, say, hey, I would, first of all, ask, hey, um, do you need some food? Like, ask, can I bring over some, XYZ? What do you like? What do you not like? My friend set up like a whole like meal thing, like that people signed up for. And I put on like no raw onions, no black beans. I'm sensitive to them. And you know, and I don't like raw onions. And so, like, put your likes and dislikes and sensitivities on there. And then from there, let people bring in the stuff, because you're going to want to like heat and serve or have it placed before you. I live alone. So, I didn't have a partner at the time helping me. My sister, bless her, was there for every chemo appointment and the hydration on Friday and then the hydration on Tuesday or Monday. But I was alone during that weekend, and it was the hardest weekend. And I would just lay there with my kitty and just like, I was so grateful for my friends who came and just dropped things off and left. Like, you know what I mean? Because unless there's a partner there, because really what I wanted, if I'd had a partner at the time, I would have wanted someone to just literally spoon me and just be like, hug me. I just needed hugs. I mean, that's so personal, but like, so there was no
Yeah.
one, yeah, but like food wise,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ask them what they want, and then also offer to clean their house.
Love
Thrown it in there.
that. I like how you snuck that in there. I love it. With that, Lauren, we are toward the end of the episode. The
Yes.
last question for you is very important. How can our listeners
Yes.
connect with you and learn more about your work?
Oh, I have a website. So Lauren Anton RD, as in registered dietitian.com. And I'm on Instagram, Lauren Anton RD. That's my handle. I'm on Facebook. Again, it's like Lauren Anton RD. But that's where you can find me.
Sounds great. We'll link up everything in the show notes below this episode. With that, Lauren, thank you so much for your time. It was lovely. Your energy is just contagious. I truly appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of the Yumlish podcast. How has illness, recovery, or a major life event changed your relationship with your body and food? Tell us about it. Head over to @Yumlish on Facebook, on Instagram. Find this podcast post, comment below to tell us again, how has illness recovery or a major life event changed your relationship with your body and food? What has nourishment looked like for you today? Go over there, comment, tell us more. We'll continue the conversation there. Lauren, an absolute pleasure. Thank you again.
Yay. Thank you, Shireen.
Thank you for listening to the Yumlish podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media at Yumlish_ on Instagram and Twitter, and at Yumlish on Facebook and LinkedIn for tips about managing your diabetes and other chronic conditions, and to chat and connect with us about your journey and perspective. You can also visit our website, yumlish.com, for more recipes, advice, and to get involved with all of the exciting opportunities Yumlish has to offer. If you like this week's show, make sure to subscribe so you can hear more from us every time we post. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Remember, your health always comes first. Stay well.